Welcome to Club Soda's Mindful Drinking Festival. We're online, global, and as always, absolutely free. Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm one of the co-founders of Club Soda.
And I'm Laura, the other co-founder of Club Soda. We help you change your drinking in ways that help you live well. So whether you're looking to cut down, stop for a bit, or quit, you can find what you need from podcasts and books and courses on joinclubsoda.com. This festival, we've brought you an amazing lineup from over 100 people from across the world.
And our programme this time really is global.
Every day starts down under with me, Sarah. As well as organising the festival in Australia, I spend my time looking for alcohol-free alternatives and tips for people who choose not to drink, but who still want to live a social, fun and adventurous life.
And I'll be wrapping up each day here in the States. I'm Amanda, your US festival host and coordinator, and I'm also a mindset coach who helps women change their relationship with alcohol so that they can start living their most authentic life.
Each day with a rolling programme of inspirational panels, conversations, social events, and opportunities to discover new low and low alcohol drinks.
So whether you want inspiration to change your drinking,
Or to connect with other people,
or you want to discover and enjoy a new low and no alcohol drink,
The Mindful Drinking Festival is for you.
cheers!
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 cheers.
Cheers is right. Hi, and welcome to a little Tiki timeout. My name's Josh Carlos. I work on behalf of Lyres Non-Alcoholic Spirits, based in Sydney, but really a global company at heart. I'm based in San Diego, California, here with a really close friend of mine, amazing person, Jesse Peterson. Jesse joins us from Morning Glory live on set in Little Italy, San Diego. She also works on behalf of Simple Serve Cocktail Consulting. So we're here to really just kind of pick Jesse's brain on the movement of no and low alcohol, as well as just do a little bit of fun little Friday cocktails for everyone. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get started with some questions for Jesse. Jesse, I'd love to hear a little bit of your background, how it is that you entered the industry, a little bit about your experience, and please take it away.
I feel like my story is pretty similar to a lot of friends of mine, where I started in the industry in college and started bartending to, pay the bills and make sure that I could buy, whatever it is that I needed on my own, but always stuck with it no matter where and what style of bar that I was working in. I worked in nightclubs to dive bars to restaurant bars, and now I'm at a really amazing brunch bar here in San Diego. But I think my story is pretty common, where we're part of an industry that is an indulgent one. So being able to partake in certain ways, and now that I am not my 20-year-old self anymore, being able to partake in similar ways, but not always as intoxicated, I guess is the way that I want to phrase it. But I just hit my 16-year, behind the bar. So I've been doing this for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun that we all enter our own different relationship, our own timeline of where we decide that as much as we love drinking and the culture around it, there's a way to adapt and to find those opportunities for no and low, whether that be a single cocktail, a single evening, a month, as many people do, dry months, or whether it be a full lifestyle change where they cut alcohol out completely.
Yeah, I think there's a great opportunity within the no and low culture that's rising, and people don't want to feel left out. And I'm one of those people, when I go out with my friends, even if I'm not in the mood to drink that night, I don't want to feel left out. So I've been really excited to work with you for quite some time on what Lyres has put together, and being able to mock yourself and kind of, sneak your way around the rules by just using something that still tastes good, but doesn't have to just be your standard. I'll just get a lemonade, or I'll get a water, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you touched on something that's really important in our industry, and it's all about inclusion. The one thing that our industry does so well is we build a family, correct? And we get to know these people because we're working long shifts with them, we're alongside of them behind the bar. And that ability to have this inclusion is one of the most unique aspects of our industry. However, at the same time, that inclusion can also lead to many late nights and somewhat tough mornings. So I think that what Club Soda is trying to promote has a lot of grit in our industry in particular. I know that being out and about, my favorite thing is to walk into a bar and cheers the bartender and enjoy a beverage with them, whether that be a onesie of tequila or just, something to kind of celebrate that moment. However,
Yeah.
there's a time and place for it. And I think what we're starting to realize is that health and wellness aspect has truly been missing.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
I also know that coming with, I am in my 30s now. I'm not as equipped to work behind the bar intoxicated as I once was, whether it's the right decision or not. I personally just choose not to when I'm behind the bar now. So it's a conscious effort because you still want to be part of the party when you're serving people, but you shouldn't always, It's just thinking about being responsible as well as trying to have a good time. So.
Totally. Well, I'd love to hear a little bit more. I know you've kind of made some career moves in the midst of COVID, which is, in my opinion, somewhat unheard of. So I'd love to hear kind of what you've been up to at least the last 4 or 5 months and share with people kind of what your journey has been through this crazy pandemic we're in.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I moved back down to San Diego from the Bay Area. I lived up in the San Francisco Bay Area for 12 years. I was running a little cocktail bar up there. And I was fortunate enough when I came home was to find a bar home at Raised by Wolves in La Jolla, which is still part of our consortium holdings brand. And I ran that cocktail bar for 2 years. But when COVID hit, which it affected everybody in the same way, we didn't have a bar to go to anymore. And now with further restrictions, I was given the opportunity to work at a restaurant bar. Raised by Wolves unfortunately doesn't have a kitchen, so there was no possibility of them opening as soon as we all probably would have liked it to. So I got the opportunity to take over bar management of Morning Glory in Little Italy, and it is our beast of a brunch spot. It's a wonderful, loud, noisy party time open space that now that all the restrictions mean that you have to dine outside, we have plenty of opportunities for us to do that. So it's a brand new schedule for me. I'm coming from the cocktail bar world where your night ends at the time that I am now waking up to go to work. So it's been a little bit of a transition for me in that way where I've never really wanted to work daytime, but it presented a great opportunity now that my lifestyle has changed and, I'm not drinking as much as I used to. I'm not partying with my friends the way that, because you can't right now. Working in a daytime place is perfect. It's outdoor, it's bright. We have great food, a great cocktail program, a great staff to hang out with all the time. So it's really like hanging out with your friends during the day. Yeah. It's great.
I love that we're talking about it as if you're not there, but being that it's 3:00 on the Friday, it's also hilarious that you guys are still cranking over there and still moving.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see that, especially in such a difficult time.
Yeah, and every once in a while I'm watching them in the background do what they're doing right here, because we have an open kitchen, so you can walk through and see what's going on in the kitchen. And I've got my staff members are hanging out right here, and there's people sitting right there having bread. It's so much fun. I love it.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
I love the chaos of it all, right?
Yeah.
Life would be boring without it.
Of course.
So in your most recent experience being in the Bay and probably dealing with a lot of the tech industry, which by nature doesn't drink quite as much, correct me if I'm wrong, and then going into a location where you have a lot of people that are driving, it's more of a destination being in UTC, it's not a neighborhood bar where you can just walk to, and then now working in a place that focuses on daytime and that brunch occasion. Throughout the last kind of year and a half, 2 years, have you seen no and low alcohol options make an impact in the programs that you're running?
I want to say the most I've seen it is since I was brought on board here at Morning Glory, because some people that come in at 8 o'clock in the morning to have breakfast aren't necessarily looking to have cocktails yet, but they still want to have something fun. It's always I want something fun, I want something pretty, I want something for the Instagram, which is great because we love that. But I see it more now that I'm at a daytime location more than I did at the nighttime location, but we almost at Raised by Wolves had to power suggest the non-alcoholic cocktail for people that weren't necessarily drinking that occasion. But there wasn't a lot of really great products out there like this, or organizations like Club Soda that were supporting the no and low movement at the point in time that Raised by Wolves opened. We could make something fruity and juicy, the Pina Colada riff, which ironically that's a cocktail that I love, so I'm making one of those today, but it would have just been coconut and pineapple and lime and nothing really else special about it, because it was really the one non-alcoholic option that people had, was to do like a version of whatever cocktails already on the menu. But it's a great opportunity to do that kind of stuff here on the weekends at brunch or midweek when we get some of those like people coming in for breakfast before they're going to work. Even with the tech industry up in the Bay Area, the martini lunch was very real.
Yeah.
Not so much down here. Yeah, not so much here.
Yeah, I totally understand. So now understanding that in your new role as managing the bar program of Morning Glory, how do you see implementing those concepts into your program, into your menu development? And what is it about Lyres in particular that we've spoken about that maybe you can share that you think is so exciting about our products?
The really great part about the menu here at Morning Glory already is that 80% of our cocktails on the menu are listed also with a non-alcoholic option. So the way that I've been able to build out this program since coming back from COVID is working not around the alcohol, but working around the main other things that happen within the cocktail. So if somebody does want to do a Thai iced tea and there's no booze in it, if someone does want to do something that's, Tiki or even somewhat like bubbly forward, there's plenty of wiggle room within what the menu says already. But it was fun when I got a chance to talk to you about Lyres the first time, because the Americano and the Negroni are two of my favorite cocktails on the planet. And there's nothing on the market until this moment that I was aware of where you could have a Negroni without it being a Negroni. There was nothing. I mean, there's some other brands out on the market that I think they've started to pave the way for what non-alcoholic spirits can do, but no one's done a riff on Campari. No one's ever presented me with an option of, this is a non-alcoholic London dry spirit, this is gin without the booze. Like that was not part of the option before. So, as an avid Negroni old-fashioned drinker, it's a perfect product for me to be able to say, I want a Negroni, because there's options for that now. I think it's amazing. Yeah. And then when you get in, non-alcoholic boozy style cocktails are unheard of, unless you're drinking something that is a bitters and soda, which even still that pushes the limit to it, essentially. But being able to recreate a Negroni or an old-fashioned Manhattan using Lyres that opened up the possibilities of what we could do, especially at Raised by Wolves, but even so here at Morning Glory, so much. It's such a broader spectrum now than just saying I want a virgin mojito, and they're delicious. I think they're tasty, but it's not the same thing. You're getting a mint limeade, which is delicious, but being able to implement something like something that actually mocks what the white cane spirit, what a white rum would be, and have some of those notes in there, I think is really important. It just opens up a different playground.
I completely agree. I think for me, the turning point with deciding to join the team at Lyres was thinking about Negroni Week 2020 and 2021. Traditionally a week where imbibe many Negronis throughout the week, and the opportunity to kind of mix it in with that non-alcoholic option, but yet still feel a part of the party, still feel like you're getting that moment to socialize, I thought was really important.
Right. Yeah, but, and that has to be a huge change for you too, working with a brand that basically founded what that week was all about, and still being able to be excited about what Negroni Week is, or would have.
100%.
Sorry.
I think I'm actually even more excited about Negroni Week, having had 3 years with Campari and the most fun to actually really promote Negroni Week in San Diego. Now I get to promote it in another way that's just all about a little bit more balance versus overindulgence. And while that's not Campari's mission, I do think that offering the non-alcoholic version is a huge part of just safeguarding our community and our family, as we call them in the industry.
of course. And that was the other magic of the other event that we have here in San Diego, which you're very familiar with, the Bartenders Weekend, where there are events that are set up intentionally to be dry events or no and low events, because it is a full 3 days of overindulging, which is absolutely okay, but sometimes you have to take a step back and take a break. I think it's really important. So.
Yeah, our bodies need it. Well, at this
Mine
point,
does, I'm old.
I think we called this Tiki timeout for a reason, being that we both really wanted to play with Lyres in a Tiki format.
I know.
We're doing
You
a lot of
first. You go
talking.
first.
So, yes, being that I worked for Campari for 3 years, I have a huge heart for Campari. I love bitter. My palate is extremely bitter. So when I think about Tiki that matches that bitter flavor profile, Jungle Bird's really the only thing that does it. So I'm going to make a Jungle Bird, and then after that, I'm going to allow you to make us something fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with 1.5 ounces of fresh pineapple juice. I'm going to throw in a 1/2 ounce of fresh squeezed lime. Nice little 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. I actually usually don't drink my Jungle Birds with simple syrup, but I think that the viscosity lends nicely, being that we don't have any ethanol here.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to take the Lyres Dark Cane, a substitution for a dark rum. I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of that.
I'm fangirling for you so hard right now. This is so fun.
It's rare to see me make cocktails, except on Saturday nights. And here we have 3/4 ounce of my favorite Lyres product, unashamedly, our Italian Orange, which is our homage to Campari.
It is so delightful.
Yeah. Let's throw a little ice in there.
You still got it, dude.
I try. I actually brought a special glass in honor of your sister restaurant and Bartenders Weekend.
Yeah,
A nice little Jungle Bird glass that I did a couple years back.
That's awesome.
I'm going to take that in here and just strain it over some fresh ice. And there we have a Lyres Jungle Bird. Cheers.
That looks delightful. Cheers. I'm jealous.
Yeah, again, I love that little bit of bitter in here. Traditionally, Tiki cocktails are amazing, but after 2 or 3, I'm sugared out. And so adding that Italian Orange or Campari in the original really helps dry it out at the end of the palate and kind of keep it going. So
I agree.
All right, you're up. What do you have for us?
So knowing the kind of weather that we have in San Diego, especially right now, and really being obsessed with like that sort of brunch cocktail, which we do here so perfectly. We have a cool Pina Colada style cocktail in mind that I thought the spice and the aperitif and the orange sec would work perfectly with. So we're just gonna go ahead and make it's almost like a painkiller and a Pina Colada had a baby. So I think it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, so we do a coconut syrup in-house. We can always use Coco Lopez or coconut milk with sugar, which is totally fine, depending on how sweet you like your cocktails. I'm not overly sweet. That came out weird. I don't like my cocktails overly sweet. So 1.5 ounces of coconut syrup. And we have it's almost like the way that Dole makes their juice, which is orange and pineapple. So an orange pineapple juice blend, 1.5 ounces of that. And I need a little tangy in my life, so 3/4 lime juice. And then again, I wanted this to be almost like the Pina Colada, and Painkiller had a baby with a lot more body. So we're gonna go 3/4 each on the orange sec and the aperitif. Plus it's gonna give it a really pretty like rosy color using the Rosso. And by the way, the aperitif Rosso is probably my favorite Lyres product so far. I like the Campari, the Italian also, but the aperitif Rosso and soda is probably one of my favorite ways to drink it. Now we're gonna go full 2 on the spice. We have really fun crushed ice here, so that's already in here. We're just gonna give it a little whip.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
I know it's crazy when you're drinking these, and obviously crafted by someone like yourself, it's really difficult to even notice that there isn't any ethanol in it.
Right. I need a little more ice to top this off. Hold on one second. Normally I would like mounding piles of ice. I'm also just trying not to make a mess because I have to clean it up myself.
I know, I'm in my
So-
house, so any mess I clean up, I'm to blame.
Yes. Or blame the kids.
That works
So
too.
then, yeah, it's a really pretty
Beautiful.
addition of this
Cheers.
cocktail. And the front of our glass says "What a time to be alive." And I think at this moment, when everyone is in a really weird spot, whether you have a job or you don't have a job, it just being able to do stuff like this still, especially doing that with you, is such a treat. And I'm really excited. So thank you so much. But cheers.
I appreciate
buddy.
it.
Yeah.
You know me, I wish I could reach for that screen and give you a hug, but the
know.
virtual world
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, this new virtual world that's become kind of our world is an interesting one. But I do give huge kudos to Club Soda for not just defaulting and saying we can't do our festival this year, to actually give us the opportunity to have these conversations virtually. I think is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's also, when all of this hit, I think a lot of people in the bar community struggled with how to process not being in their normal routine anymore. And normally the hospitality industry, whether it's bars and restaurants, hotels, event centers, things like that, those are the places that people escape to release or have a good time or be social. And we thrive off being able to serve people, and when we couldn't do that anymore, I think it hit our industry a lot harder than we expected. So I think what Club Soda is doing as far as keeping their festival going and getting the traction that they are and bringing awareness to the no and low is really important. I think it's really amazing. So
Yeah, well, I think that's actually a great way to kind of end with my last question for you, Jesse. Being that COVID has put so much strain on so many industries, it's also forced people to have more downtime than they're used to. What changes and transitions do you see within our industry, being that we're generally very much revolving around booze, late nights, bars in California are closing early. Do you see this wellness trend kind of filtering into our industry specifically, and how do you think that that's going to affect us moving forward?
I noticed right when all of this started back in March that the amount of times I saw my friends posting that they were going on a run or they were going on a bike ride or they were going on a hike before everything really locked in went up. And then things started to reopen again, so we kind of saw that dissipate again. But I think people are getting back to wanting to stay outside and stay healthy and maintain the momentum that they had started back in March when COVID really hit. And I know I'm one of those people that I don't want to get stuck back into the grind of the work routine. And I'm incredibly blessed and I'm incredibly lucky to call this place my home now. But I don't want to lose sight of allowing myself to take days off from drinking or making sure I'm getting outside. I work outside, but it's not the same thing. But yeah. I think while we are also encouraging people to stay safe and stay healthy, and especially around here, wearing a mask when you go out, we should also be encouraging our counterparts and our friends to take a walk on the beach every once in a while, or, take a night off from drinking, or, being able to find different outlets of creativity and social time outside of sitting on Zoom calls. And I know the Zoom got so popular so fast, but it's also not the same thing as having a conversation with your friends or whatever. Being able to still tap into socially responsible, but still, being in the element that you enjoy being in. It doesn't always have to be overindulgent. I think we will see more and more industries encouraging responsible drinking, and the to-go cocktail thing, I think, just blew my mind that everyone was so okay with taking to-go cocktails. And Like, you're going to drink this right now and then you're getting in your car. It was just, to me, that was crazy because that's so against what we've been doing. And, you know, people saying, can I get that cocktail to go now? And there's places here in Little Italy that we can go do that. I'm like, wait a minute. Don't you have to go home in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Oh yeah, I'll just bring it with me. No, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
That's a weird gray area for us right now that I'm hoping we can kind of rein back into just, again, not just for your insides and your body, but, you know, being more responsible as a community too, so.
Yeah, I think it's interesting in California specifically, in majority of the US, we nearly have the laws now that you would find in New Orleans and Las Vegas, where people travel to these destinations to be able to have a drink on the street and walk down the strip, or, you know, through these different districts in New Orleans and have that experience. But now with legislation and, you know, to-go cocktails really being quite open, it can happen anywhere. And I would just truly hope that, you know, being that COVID is a pandemic that's focused on health, we all take a second to really think about what we're putting into our bodies and understand that there is the ability to have that delicious flavor profile of a cocktail, and to enjoy that experience with yourself, with others, etc. And it doesn't really matter the ABV that's in the glass.
Yeah, it's the way, when we start seeing more and more things open up kind of the way that we have here, hopefully we'll start seeing that trend of partaking without having to partake too much. So I hope, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, we do live in a
so
town
good.
that's known for overindulgence. So
Yeah.
we do have to be the ones to set the standard. And I know that you're doing that by saying, for example, at Morning Glory, a majority of the cocktails can be offered non-alcoholic, and we love that support. So.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's really
Well,
nice for us too. So.
yeah. Well, Jesse, thank you again so much for your time today. It's fun to sit here and enjoy a cocktail with you virtually. I can't wait to be able to do the real thing. But
I
in the
know.
meantime,
Soon.
we get this. So,
Yeah. Thank you so much for
all
having
right.
me too, and just being able to do what we've talked about doing this for so long. So I'm glad we were able to do it in a platform like this. And thank you to Club Soda for having me as well. I just can't say thank you enough. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Jesse. And I'm sure I will be talking to you very soon.
You sure will.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.